everybody, it's Delilah and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about baby food, how to make it at home, how to meal prep it, and also some meal ideas on how to mix and match the foods that you make. Disclaimer, this is how I make baby food. This isn't how you have to do it. This is a guideline on how you can do it. Everyone will interpret it differently. Also, when it comes to feeding your baby, the foods that you give them is completely up to you. There are no rules. Everyone will tell you something different. I like to start my babies on fruits and veggies and just homemade purees and baby food, and then we switch to baby-led weaning. Lots of people will start with rice cereal. Like, it's really just up to you. Of course, do your research on it before you start feeding your baby, but for the most part, there just really isn't any rules. Today I'm going to be meal prepping some food for Theo. I'm not going to be prepping very much. I'm just going to be making small amounts of each food item because I think we'll be switching to baby-led weaning sooner than I thought. I just think he would really enjoy baby-led weaning. He really likes to just grab things himself, but just to get him introduced to foods, I'm just starting him kind of slowly on purees first. I'm going to show you how to make some fruits, some veggies, beans. I'm not going to show you how to do meat because I just feel uncomfortable blending meat. That is just disgusting to me, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I mean, you can buy jars of baby food with meat in it, so it's not like an uncommon thing. It's just weird to me. So I saved the meat for baby-led weaning, but I'm gonna show you everything else: how to cook it, how to prepare it, how to freeze it, thaw it, all of that stuff. You don't need any special tools for this. All you need is a pot and a blender, which I'm gonna take a wild guess and assume you already have those things at home. You will need something to freeze the food in. I bought these silicone ones from Amazon. Previously, I made baby food in like the metal tin muffin tins, and it didn't work that great. So I would highly suggest investing in a few of these. These aren't expensive. I'll link them below. That's basically all you need. I also forgot to mention that about 2 years ago, I also uploaded a video similar to this one, how I made and prepared baby food. This is basically like an updated version of that video, but if you want some more tips and advice from my previous self, then I will leave that video linked here for you to go and watch. Before this intro gets too long, let's just get started. First things first, I'm going to be starting with some carrots. The first thing I'm going to do is just peel them. You don't have to peel them as long as you wash them really good. I'm going to peel them and then chop them up, get them into a pot with a little bit of boiling water. Now, if you have a steamer, that is ideal. I do not have one, so this is just what I've always done. The idea here is just to steam the veggies with as little liquid as possible so you don't lose too much of the nutrients from the carrots. So I'll put them into a pot and cover it with a lid with just a little bit, like an inch of water in the bottom of the pot. I'll turn it on to high and just kind of let it cook. Stir it every once in a while. Check to make sure that there's still water in the pot so that the carrots don't burn. And then if I need to add any water at all, I'll do so along the way. Once the carrots are soft and fully cooked through, you can take them off. You can drain the water, but I would recommend saving the water that you do drain, just in case when you blend it up, the puree might be a little bit too thick, and if so, you can always add some of that nutrient-rich water back into the puree. Okay, so as you can tell, the pea mixture is obviously way too thick. It wasn't blending, so I did reserve some of the leftover liquid from the cooking process, so I'm going to add that to the peas. Okay, to add this to your blender, all I have is a NutriBullet. Like, we got rid of our blender because we just never used it, and so we just have a little NutriBullet, but that works totally fine. I'll just put the carrots into there, blend it all up, and then the food is ready to either store in the fridge for about 3 days or to freeze, and I'll get to that in a little bit. If you want to take it up a notch and add some extra nutrients into your baby's diet, you can always add some spinach to the puree. So what I've been doing is splitting the puree in half and keeping half of it just pure carrot, and then the other half I'll blend in some spinach. I bought a big thing of spinach and ended up freezing it because it was going bad, and so I just have a storage of spinach in the freezer. I'll just throw in a little bit into the blender, blend it all up, and I'm good to go. It just gives a whole lot of extra nutrients without compromising the flavor at all. So the same thing goes for any kind of like fresh apples or pears. You can either peel them or leave the peel on, and then cook and blend in the same way as I had just described. Next up is frozen peas. So for any veggies that are frozen, it's pretty much the exact same thing minus the chopping. Basically, you just throw it into the pot, make sure there's just a little bit of water in the pot, cover it and let it come to a boil, let it cook until it's fully cooked through. Things like frozen vegetables won't take long to cook. Just check on it every once in a while, and once it's finished, blend it and then either store it in the fridge or freeze it, whatever you plan to do with it. I really like frozen vegetables when it comes to making baby food because it's cheaper, and B, it's so much easier. Again, you could do the same thing by adding spinach. You could even blend, like I've got some green beans here I'm gonna cook. You could blend peas and green beans together. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want, and feel free to get creative. All right, next on the menu, frozen blueberries. So frozen fruits are just a little bit different. You could cook them, I guess, but I don't, because generally frozen fruits, once they thaw, they are soft enough on their own and they don't need to be cooked. And so it's just an extra step that I don't feel is necessary. So what I do with frozen fruits is I set aside however much I want to blend up just into a bowl and let that thaw at room temperature. If you are pressed for time and you need to speed it up, I guess you could put it into a pot. You could put it into the microwave. I try to avoid the microwave when it comes to baby food, but if you need to, you totally could. Once the fruit is thawed, you can give it a blend and again, put it into the fridge, put it into the freezer. Fruits are kind of fun because you can add them to a lot of different things, which I'll show you later in today's video. But it's actually really nice to have a lot of frozen fruit purees on hand because babies can't have honey or maple syrup. I think those are like the only, I could be wrong, but I think those are like the only things that babies can't eat. So it's easy to just replace like honey or maple syrup in a recipe with some fruit. It makes it a little bit sweet and adds nutrients as well. Next up is beans. I've actually never cooked beans before. I've only ever purchased canned beans, so this is new to me, but if I remember correctly, according to the article I read online, you gotta soak the beans first before you can cook them. So you can either soak them overnight for about 8 hours, or you could quick soak them by bringing them to a boil in a pot of water and letting them boil for an hour or two. I don't remember. Once the beans have soaked, you need to drain them and rinse them well and then cook them. So it's a long process and you gotta cook them for like an hour or two, I believe. It is time consuming, so it's nice to make a bunch at once, blend them, freeze them, and then you don't have to worry about them for a while. I'm gonna be doing some chickpeas. This will add some iron, some protein to Theo's diet, which will be nice. Now when it comes to grains or dairy, those things are kind of hard to meal prep. For dairy, I'll just buy some plain natural yogurt and make sure it is plain. Check the ingredients. The only ingredient should be milk and active bacterial cultures, which is basically what makes yogurt. So there are probiotics in yogurt that are great for any age. So what I really like to do is just take some yogurt and mix it with some fruit purees. And for grain, you can always just like cook some rice, give them a little bit of rice once maybe they're a little bit older. If you want to blend it, you could blend it. You could do some oatmeal. Again, you could blend it if you wanted to, or you could just try giving it to them because it's very mushy and soft. Like I'm sure they'd be able to handle it. That's all we're gonna do. Also, you can get fortified rice cereal, or I have this Tasty Smooth oatmeal by Baby Gourmet. This just has a bunch of like vitamins and iron and stuff in it, so it gives your baby extra nutrients in their diet. And this is just another good way to get grains in as well. As for troubleshooting, sometimes the purees will end up being way too thick. In those cases, you can add water, but what I like to do is add some breast milk. I've got a lot of breast milk in the fridge. I'll thaw some of that and add it into the purees, and that just kind of makes the food taste a little bit more familiar to your baby, because you can imagine it's probably quite a shock going from breast milk all your life to all of a sudden you're introduced to all these different foods and textures. So I like to add a little bit of breast milk sometimes. If your purees end up being way too thin, you can always add some fortified rice cereal or some oatmeal, mix a little bit in there, and it should thicken right up and give your baby some extra nutrients as well. Okay, so you have your puree made. Now what do? You can either A, store it into a container for about 3 days or so in the fridge, or purchase a silicone mold of some kind. I highly recommend silicone. It works 100 times easier than any muffin tins or ice cube trays. So this is what I have ended up with. We've got some carrots with spinach, green beans with spinach and green beans. And we've got some peas with spinach, and then this is blueberry. The blueberry turned out pretty runny, but that's okay. It kind of becomes more like a syrup then, and then I can add it to other fruits. I can mix it with rice cereal. I can do whatever with it. Divide the baby food up into the molds and store in the freezer. Once it's completely frozen, you can take it out and store it in Ziploc bags or containers or however you want to do it. Pulled them out of the freezer. It's been about 24 hours and they're definitely hard. I just want to show you how nice the silicone mold is, because look how easily those slip out. Like, I use no oil or anything and they just slip out like nothing. Even the more liquidy ones come out like so easily. Label your baby food. It is so easy to get confused with which food is what and what's in each food. So in every container or bag, make sure you label every food item that is in that particular baby food, as well as the date. They should last for about 6 months in the freezer as long as they're stored properly, so having the date on there is always handy. Okay, so now you have a whole bunch of frozen, ready to go meals for your baby, but what do you do now? How do you thaw them? How do you serve them to your baby? What I like to do is each night I'll take out a few items to thaw in the fridge overnight so that he has food ready for the next day. That way I can hopefully avoid using the microwave, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, as for what you can do with the food, how you can combine them, different meals that you can make for your baby, here are a few ideas. Those are peas. What do you think? What do you think about those ones? Are you not sure about peas? And that's everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you found it useful. I know this is a very requested video. It's really very simple to do, very easy and fast. Like if I hadn't been filming this would have taken me half an hour and all this food would last Theo probably a month or more. And it saves us so much money. Keep your eyes peeled for a what my kids eat in a day video coming your way soon, hopefully. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.